All right. Good morning, good evening, good afternoon. Ladies and gentlemen, citizens of YouTube, Pastor Dowell here. Okay, enough with the dog and pony show, enough with the circus, enough with the distractions. Camera there, huh? Enough with all the crap that is going on in the world, especially the distractions more than anything. Let me lay out something to the American public. Let me tell you that it's the standard operating procedure of this government to keep the American public in dark. Now, what I've been trying to do is hold off as long as I can while giving direction, telling you what you need to do. I think, personally, that the United States of America is getting ready for war. And I think that all this tomfoolery and buffoonery and dementia and this sickness that's ran by a so-called presidential leader today and his cabinet is nothing more than a distraction. I think the ideal is to divide America and get it so far to the left of upset that we continue to keep bickering and fighting over issues and we ignore the real thing. Let me paint a picture. We've been in the desert for over 20 something years, tucked tail and ran, pretty much same thing I told you in history, to a stalemate. Nobody's ever beat these people. Nobody can beat their poverty. 20 years of the most sophisticated weapons that a country could have. 20 years of losing American lives. All for a conflict that has been called a war, that has never been declared a war by the Congress. We've been done got, allegedly, if he was the issue, Saddam Hussein. You would have thought that they would have ended it right there, but kept on going because the military-industrial complex has an agenda. Now listen to me. Don't lull yourself to sleep and don't rock yourself to sleep while I'm speaking. Because what I'm going to say and what I have to say is not the popular perspective and point of view. If you watched my videos, I've been giving subtle direction on what you should be doing and how you should be preparing. And of course, most people think of the end times and things like that. Well, I'm telling you something else. I said, if the news media parades out something in front of you, and they continue to keep pushing it and pushing it and pushing it and pushing it, then all of a sudden they pivot and they own another issue. While we never had any closure to this issue, meaning we abruptly just got out of Afghanistan. We abandoned Americans over there, showing this country don't care nothing about its people. And what was the purpose and cause of that? I mean, yeah, we upset and we're on fire, but I've learned the history of this country over years that if they're doing one thing, you really truly need to pay attention to international news sources that's not talking about the things that we're talking about in this country right here. But also pay attention to how the news media loves distracting we the people over foolishness. What do I think is getting ready to get geared up? What's getting geared up? I think that after watching the Chinese and the Russians being invited to a summit to speak about certain human rights and things like that, and them not showing up, it told me everything I needed to know. While we have been at war, perpetual war with over in the desert, the sandbox, for 20 something years, China and Russia has been quietly preparing itself with hypersonic missiles. What does that mean? That means, as far as I know, America doesn't have any defense against these And these hypersonic missiles are intercontinental ballistic missiles that can travel at 5 times the speed of sound, and can travel over 5,000 miles and hit its target with precision. They can actually be armed with nuclear warheads, and there pretty much ain't nothing we can do about it. At least that's what's being said. All right. I think that the technology that America has is never truly really disclosed out on the world scene until the conflict really escalates. But the news media job is to get you in front of that one-eyed monster called a TV set and get you distracted and get you so full of yourself. They want you self-centered, self-focused, self-absorbed. They want you to get all stirred up and distracted by issues that in the grand scheme of things, it really don't mean nothing. Do we really truly care that Andrew Cuomo resigned? No, we don't. Do we really truly care that Chris Cuomo got fired from CNN? No, we don't. We don't really truly care at all. We know that Congress is going to kick the proverbial bucket down the road, kick the can down the road, and we know they're going to raise up the debt ceiling again because they don't have the stomach to balance the budget. We know it's going to happen. We know we're going to beg and squabble to the Fed to raise our debt ceiling because we don't have any solutions. The buffoons up there in Congress, 535 people, they don't have any ideas and solutions. They just don't. And what perfect plan that it could be than to send up the most spiritually retarded president that has ever been in the history of mankind, put Joe Biden, old decrepit dementia himself, up there on the world stage that can't even talk without a teleprompter, than to set up and have him to be a representative of the United States, making us thereby look weak and impotent. Well, what's really truly going on? What's really truly going on? Well, China has been talking about Taiwan for a long time. China has already done moved its forces in position, and they're getting ready to launch a preemptive attack against Taiwan. And they've already told America, don't you come meddling around in our business. And America said, we're going to defend Taiwan. And of course, our only launching pad from there would either have to be Guam or Australia. But America is quietly gearing up for war. And China, if you realize over the years how much they've been doing in the Pacific. Now, we've done moved from the desert, the sandbox, and we done turn our sights over into the Pacific, whether people like it, comprehend it or not. And the Chinese government is telling its people, store food. What's Pastor Dowell been telling you to do? Store food. Every single time you go to the store, you buy some long-term food storage, because you're not going to be able to continue to keep eating 3 squares and a cot and enjoying all this so-called liberty, because this next war that's on the horizon, and believe me, I wish I didn't even have to get up here and make this video. This next war, we're getting ready to see what it means to have a taste of the Great Depression. Because this next war that's on the horizon right here is going to be, it's shaping up to be a world war. And right now, China is feeling themselves, and Russia is feeling themselves. Not only, and I think their plan is to get America and NATO, the Allied forces, divided on 2 fronts. Because I think they have a lot of confidence in these hypersonic missiles. And right now, you notice that Russia's done moved over 100,000 soldiers to the west of them, getting ready to invade Ukraine, out of which we've gave our opinions and our statements on that as well. We have depleted our arsenals because we have just been warmongering and whoremongering for 20-something years. And the only people that's really truly got rich off of this was the military-industrial complex. And so while we're distracted by mandates, while we're distracted over alternative lifestyles, and while we're distracted over Roe v. Wade and all these other nonsensical stuff that really, it's something when you can get everybody's eyes to look that way. And then when something is going this way, nobody can say anything. Nobody understands anything. Nobody can see. Nobody has any vision, because the book says without a vision the people perish. But Pastor Dowell, I'm keeping an eye on these shysters. I wouldn't doubt that a draft could possibly be implemented here in the near future, pending the buildup. Because I'm telling you right now, America is building up in the Pacific. Big time. They're building up. And they're also building up over there at the west, over there with Ukraine. And the American people are too busy YouTubing, laughing, having a good time, getting giddy. Just dismal ignorance. But again, when China didn't show up to that summit, that told me everything I needed to know. I've watched news sources where, they're talking pretty bold, pretty dang bold. And guess what? Our government is getting ready to default again on its debt, unless they do something about it the 15th of December. So we got a conflict brewing over here in the Pacific with China and Taiwan, and Russia and the Ukraine over here. And America, I'm sorry, we can't be the world's police force. China says clearly there's only one China, and Taiwan is part of China. America says no, they're independent, and we're their ally. And if you make an attack on them, you make an attack on us, and so let's get it on. For years and years and years and years and years, people have often talked about and said that, I can't really see this. And, if you talk about something so much, people get to the point where it gets so redundant that, you just kind of poo-poo it. And as years continue to keep stacking up and going by, the days are long and the years are short, people start to lose, their attention from it. Their attention span is very short. They don't want to hear this mess no more. They got other things better to do, like get entertained. But I think we're getting ready for the big one. Now, do I have the insider secrets like a lot of these politicians do? They parade out in front of the TV cameras and act like that they're subject matter experts just because they are loaded with information. No, I'm coming off the cuff right here. And I'm paying attention to what the news media don't want us to pay attention to. And so with that said, I think that now is the time, since we're supposed to be loading up and should have never stopped loading up on food, we should do that. Make sure we have a good, clean source of water and ammo. Because right now, Russia and China, they got a plan. They've been communicating with each other. And they have watched America extremely close. And so all these sanctions and all this other stuff that they got planned and going on, and that's the only thing that America can do nowadays, is just threaten other countries with sanctions. Well, it's not working anymore, because what do you do when China's already told their people to get ready for rough times? Start storing food. Start getting yourself ready. They're no longer, them in Russia no longer are fearing that stuff no more, because they're tasting victory. China's never stopped in this quest to become the one sole lone world leader. They want everybody goose-stepping. And I remember some time ago, y'all better get ready to start teaching your children Mandarin, because with the buffoonery and the choices and decisions that we're making nowadays, it's just totally off the chain what's going on. Do not lose focus of what's really happening in this world. Pay attention to real news. Get away from mainstream news media that all they're designed to do. Who cares about a trial, or because somebody falsified some information trying to keep racism going in America. Who cares about that stuff? Nobody cares about that stuff. It's just sad. So I hope in some way, shape, fashion, or form that I've at least done my part to put a defibrillator on your mind, and that you would watch this video and send it out to more people, and you will become sober-minded and really truly start paying attention to the real news and not the Ringling Brothers, Barnum Bailey circus news that's going on through mainstream news media. Hope y'all have a wonderful weekend. That's my prayer. See y'all tonight on blogtalkradio.com is /Straitway. That's my prayer.